OPRA Consulting Group. Thank you for coming, everybody. OPRA is an acronym for Occupational Psychologists and Research Associates. My name is Dr. Paul Englert, and I'm the co-founder of OPRA back in 1997. Our byline is Psychology Applied, Potential Maximised. We're an organisational psych firm that brings out the potential in your company. So what is IO psychology? IO psychology is industrial organisational psychology. In real simple terms, we're psychologists that apply our discipline to the world of work. So some psychologists work in clinical fields, some work in sporting fields, some work in educational fields. We work in the world of work. And our job is to maximise performance. IO psychologists generally do things such as working with people to improve selection, to improve performance management, to improve stress, and to enhance the business's well-being as well as the employee's well-being. IO psychology is one of the fastest growing disciplines in the world, one of the fastest growing jobs in the world. And even with that growth, because of the entry level, there's still a major shortage in terms of the difference between supply and demand. So what sets OPRA apart? We're one of Asia Pacific's largest dedicated IO businesses. All of our staff are masters or doctorate trained, and most are registered internationally. I myself am registered in New Zealand, which means that I'm governed by law in terms of my practice. We deliver customised HR solutions at the higher end, and everything that we do, we stand by, hence the reason that we've been around for 17 years. This is the model that we work from. So we have 6 arms to our business. We begin by consulting around best practice organisational psychology. That's so that we can understand your problems and tailor our solutions accordingly. We have a product arm where we do assessments, we have a survey arm, and we have a development arm where we're putting into practice what we learn to improve the way that your organisation functions. We also train organisations to do what we do so that they can take the learnings from our consultancy and implement that inside their organisation. Finally, we evaluate what we do. So everything that we do, we evaluate. And we go back and we look at what was the return on investment for your organisation. What do we really deliver? History? Well, we started back in 1997. And over that time, we've expanded greatly. And that expansion has been both geographically as well as the depth in terms of what the organisation offers. So we have a range of supplier agreements which allow us to bring products into the organisations that we work with and pass over our intellectual property. This is the current structure of OPRA. So there's OPRA Holdings, and we have 3 offices across Asia Pac. So there's an office in Australia, and that's a joint venture which we have with a recruitment firm called Bilby. So it's a completely separate venture, and it's 50% owned by both companies. We have OPRA New Zealand, and we have 4 offices in New Zealand, and of course OPRA Asia, which is Singapore, which is run by myself. Here are the 2 founders. So Dr. Sarah Burke. Sarah is the GM of the group. She looks after the entire group. Her doctorate is in onboarding. She's one of the world's experts on socialising people into an organisation quickly so that you get the best return from them. She's had 20 years working as an IO psych, and she worked for one of the largest businesses at the time back in the 90s. Myself, I've worked for the last 17 years as an IO psych. My doctorate is in career guidance and also working with long-term unemployed. And I've worked all across the world now and very happy to be here in Singapore. At OPRA, we like to say we let our clients do the talking. And that's just a snapshot of the sort of clients and the client list that we work with. So there's that model again, and I'm going to go through those 6 arms so you get a really good idea of what it is that OPRA does and how we can help your business. OPRA Assess. So OPRA Assess is where we have our assessment products. This includes psychometric testing, video interviewing, assessment centre exercises. And all of the assessment is around diagnosing what is it that your organisation needs at an individual level. People who go through the assess arm will get a psychometric report or a structured interview report, or alternatively an assessment exercise report, which then identifies what is the development plan that we have for this person. Also, organisations can bring these products in-house. OPRA Consult. So this is where we'll consult you on best practice IO psychology. We're always cutting edge, we're always contemporary, we're always keeping up with the latest research. So when it is that you want your organisation to perform better through their people, this is where we will consult, look at what your needs are, tell you what is currently cutting edge, and bring that into play. OPRA Survey. This is where we begin to survey much wider than just the individual. There are 3 major surveys that organisations tend to use us for. One is a culture and climate survey. What is the current culture inside your organisation? How do people perceive the leadership? How do they perceive your organisation? Do they feel this is an organisation they want to stay with or not? How would they describe it? Alternatively, the exit survey. So when they're leaving, what can they leave us with? What can they give us? 360 surveys, where we do a complete performance appraisal of that that individual to build a very powerful development plan. Development, we then take those plans to then create development plans for individuals, and we have a range of development courses, everything from emotional intelligence to healthy thinking to learning how to have those courageous conversations, teaching managers how to tell it as it is and do that in the most appropriate way. And then finally, we need to validate this. We need to evaluate what we've done, make sure that there is a return on investment, that we are delivering, and that it is producing the results that we said we would. And this brings us to the model. So this model completes the full range of services that OPRA provide. And we like to think of it like a bodybuilding analogy. Yes, you can do one piece of this. Yep, you can just train. But you're not going to get the results unless you sleep and eat as well. Eating on its own doesn't tend to produce the results that you want. You need to do the other bits. It's the combination, it's the synergistic effect of all of these areas working together that will give you organisational outcomes. That said, you can do one bit at a time, but we build it up in that same way to create that model of a fully functioning organisation. I'd like to thank you today for your time, and that was OPRA Group, and we look forward to doing work with you.